guys, Tech Rally here, and welcome to the 15th lesson of Blockstack plus React. On the 14th lesson, we worked on the view admin post page, and in this lesson, we're going to be working on the edit admin user post page. The admin user post page will consist of the following. It will load the page via get file to post-postid.json, and remember it's the Gaia hub address and the path, and then it will initialize the form with the post data. After editing has been complete, we're going to save that information, and we're going to save it to the two files again, the post.json file and the post-postid.json. Lastly, we're going to redirect back to the admin post page. In our admin username posts routes component, the last thing we need to change is the simple div. I'm going to erase this simple div and reference to a admin post edit component. And we'll pass in the match as well here. And we'll destructure the match here. Cool. This component does not exist yet, but let's just import that component here above. Admin post edit from pages admin username posts post ID / edit. Let's create that component right now. So under posts, we have a post ID. And under post ID, I'm going to create an edit folder. And inside of the edit folder, I'm going to create an index.jsx. Sweet. From here, we're going to write our boilerplate code for a class-based component. So first, we're going to import React and component from React. We're going to import prop types from prop types. We're also going to be importing the post form, which we used in the creation process of a post from components, post form. And the last two will be the loader component/loader and the context. Apologize. My context from components user provider. I'll start off with the boilerplate stuff again. Class admin post edit extends component. We'll do a render function and do a return. And lastly, we're going to do export default admin post edit. Sweet. We'll also include the prop types here. And in this case, we're going to be passing the match, which is an object. Thinking about this component, I believe that we need two internal state variables. And the first one is the post itself, which we can initialize as an empty object. And second is the loading variable, which we'll set as true. Since we're making an asynchronous call, it's going to take some time for the data to load. So in the sense here, if I have const loading, and I'll also include the post as well here for now. If you're loading, I want to return the loader information. Otherwise, we're going to return the information about the post. So with that check, we can now move on to making our asynchronous request via component lifecycle. We'll destructure out the user session here from the context.state, this.context.state.current user. And we'll also take out the match from the props. And since this is a asynchronous request, we're going to do a async here. And we'll make our request similar to how we've done it before. So const result equals await user session dot get file of the post dash match.params.postid.json, and we also need to pass in the options. I don't believe we created the options above, so we could say const options equals decrypt false. If the result exists, then we're going to set the state of our post to JSON.parse of the result, and also set our loading to false. That way we remove the loader If the data does not exist, then we're just going to return null. Now that we have our post information, we can return the post form here. Just write post form. And before we move on to the props, let's recap on what kind of props the post form expects to take. So going into components, post and post form, the two prop types are user session and user name. And this was okay when we were only creating posts, but if we want this component to be reusable, we need to figure out a way to make this post form a little bit more flexible. So let's go to the edit first, and I'm going to pass in a couple of props additional to the user session and the user name, and I'll explain to you why I'm doing this. So first, the user session will equal the user session, and we need to destructure that out again from the context.state.currentUser, this.context.state.currentUser. We can also extract the username here and pass that in. And for the two additional props that I'm envisioning, it's going to be the post, which was pretty obvious, and a type. And type is going to be a simple string. And in this case, since I'm editing a post, I'm going to write in the word edit. The reason why I am including this prop type of edit is to allow my post form to be flexible depending on whether or not I'm creating or editing a post. With these additional props, let's go back to our post form component and work on making it a little bit more flexible. In our post form, we have two internal states that deal with the form exclusively, which is the title and description. Before, when we were creating a post, we would always initialize it to an empty string since there was no preloaded information to show. But now that we are using this post form component through the create and edit process, we have to make it a little bit more flexible. The first thing we can do is add the two prop types below. So username and user session already exist, and we will include the post, which is an object, and it will not be required this time, and the type, and that will be required. Here we're going to use the constructor function instead of the ES6 style of syntax, and the constructor takes in an argument of props. And here, just some boilerplate. And instead of having state outside like this, we can now do this.state equals, and I'll just copy and paste this here. But instead of just initializing it to the empty string, we need to first check to see if a post object is provided. So we'll extract posts from the props, and if a post exists, it's going to render the appropriate information. Otherwise, we'll do an empty string and post.description or empty string. And we'll add a comment here that says returns an edited post or starting a new post. And we could copy and paste that comment to the next one as well. Awesome. Now that we have that squared away, what else do we need to address? If we scroll down below, onSubmit is only calling one function, this.createPost. We don't want to necessarily create a new post when we're editing, so we need a way to tell our onSubmit function to do one or the other. And since we passed in that type variable called edit, we can either do one or the other depending on what the type is. So here, after the prevent default, we can take out the type from the props, and we could say return type equals edit, and here we could write this.edit post or this.create post. If you're not familiar with this, it is essentially saying if the type variable is called edit, then we're going to do the edit post. Otherwise, we're going to do the create post. The edit post is not created yet, but it's going to be very similar to the create post, except we're not going to be adding to the array of posts, but replacing that element from the pre-existing posts. So above the create post, I'm going to create a new function called edit post. And I know for a fact that this is going to be an asynchronous request. And there's a lot of boilerplate that's similar, so I'm going to copy the state and the props and the options. And instead of generating a new ID like the create post, we can extract it from our post prop that we passed in. So here we're going to create a new params similar to the ones in the create. The ID will be the post.title, and the title will be coming from the state. Secondly, we need to create one for the detail params, and it will be params, and we'll include the description from this new state. Awesome. Let's add some comments here to keep it consistent. So this will be for the post.json, and this will be for post ID.json. Sweet. More or less, this is very similar to what we have here, but this is going to be the big change. We're not going to be adding to our post, but replacing it. And to do this, we're going to say const edited posts for index equal underscore map. And here we'll reference to the posts, and each single post will define as p. If p.id, which represents a post in the list, is equal to the post.id, then we will return the params. Otherwise, let's just return the original post. So this is going to loop over our list of posts here, and once it finds the correct post, it's going to replace the old information with the new params. And the edited post for index is the information that we're going to submit to our post.json file. Now that we've got that squared away, let's do our try catch block again. And in here, we're going to make two requests. Going to do the user session dot put file of the post file name. And for the second argument, we're going to do JSON.stringify edited post for index, and also include the options. The second asynchronous request we're going to make is the user session.put file, the posts dash post.id.json, and JSON.stringify detailed params, and also include the options as well. We forgot to include the await in the front for both requests. And after it's been completed, we're going to set the state of our description to an empty string and title to an empty string. And we're going to leverage the callback function here to navigate back to the admin username post page. And we could copy and paste that from the create work. Just copy that one and paste it here. Sweet. And if an error occurs, then we're going to console log e.message. Since post form component is being imported by two page components, let's adjust our create post page to account for these two new prop types. In here, we can go back to the create index page. And since there is no post currently that exists in an admin post create page, we only need to pass in the type. So let's do here type equals create. And this is a bit of refactoring and adjustments you need to make to account for more flexible components. The last thing we need to do is update our post table component to make the appropriate route navigation when the user clicks edit. So right now it's only doing the console logs, and we'll get that resolved quickly. I'm going to erase this here, and I'm going to write this dot edit admin post of the post, and we'll create this right above the view admin post. So edit admin post of the post here, and it's gonna say const history username this dot props return history dot push admin username posts post.id/edit. Now that we've added the edit admin post navigation, let's go to the browser and see if we have any breaking changes or typos. So it looks like we did not import our user provider correctly, and that could be easily fixed. Back in the post edit component, we are referencing to user/provider, but I believe it's just the user provider. So we're gonna remove this provider here and write user provider. I also realized that I'm not using the myContext import, and if I don't hook this up, then we can't use the this.context.state. I'm gonna scroll down below here and write admin post edit.context type equals myContext. Before we go to the browser, I might have cheated a little and looked at it offline, and I noticed a huge error in my form. And if we go back to post form here, we don't necessarily set the parameters correctly here in the post.json here, and I set the ID to the title, and it must be a really long night, so I'm gonna adjust that back to the ID here. Now if we go to the browser, everything should work smoothly. I messed up the first 2 rows because I was experimenting with the wrong params that was saved, but we could definitely work on the 3rd one. And if I click edit and I change this lorem ipsum post to please edit work now and then we scroll down and save. Cool, please edit work now works, and the ID is still good. We can see the view, everything works here. We could change the edit here, delete some of this information, and we'll just keep it at the lorem ipsum here. Save that, view it, and cool, everything works. We are able to now view and edit our posts. Hooray! I realized there were so many mistakes made on the way up to here, and I apologize again. This is not an easy process, and every little small detail that you do miss ends up making a costly mistake. Luckily we're on local, and it's just something that comes with the territory, but I hope you now understand how the get files and the put files work when editing and viewing a post. For the next lesson, we're gonna be working on, what do you think? Deleting a post. I hope you guys are still trucking through with me, and I'm super excited for the next lesson. Hopefully less mistakes, but no guarantees.